Hey, welcome back to Mastering Menopause. Today I have a quick episode for you. I wanted to go over a quick and easy, how do you identify a good protein source? How do you identify a great protein source? And how can you see what is not a great protein source? I also wanted to give you just a little update on what's going on with my photo shoot as well. So in 1 week, I am going to be doing a photo shoot, and I have spent the last 7 weeks in a deficit. For the most part, I've had 4 diet breaks, so it's been amazing to actually go through this process of using more of an aggressive style. Very, I have to say, super motivating and staying on track. And that's really the secret to any kind of weight loss journey, is just being consistent. Again, you don't have to be perfect, but you do have to be consistent with the things. So that's what this has done. I have been very consistent with getting in my steps. I've been getting in all of my workouts. I have not done any cardio whatsoever and just hitting my calorie targets every day. And I will say I started super low with calories, like triple digits low. And now I'm in the 4-digit range, which is crazy to me. When you lose weight, that you would actually get more calories. So it's been a great process using Martin McDonald's aggressive dieting calculator. That's what I've been using. I've used it for a couple of clients. I will say most of my clients do a very light version of what I am doing. And so they're actually doing a 2-week rapid fat loss protocol. I just had, 12 clients wrap up their protocol on Friday, right before Father's Day. So now they're getting their refeeds, and 6 pounds. Another woman lost 6 pounds, 6.2 pounds, 4 pounds, 4.8 pounds. They're all this has been easy to follow. There is something to be said, again, that motivation, but they're also learning things about themselves as well. So I used to think that this approach would not be a great approach. And I've said that several times on my podcast and in my content. And I have definitely changed my tune. This is not something that you do forever. All right. This is definitely a targeted strategy to losing weight quickly, but also addressing some lifestyle habits and making some changes as well. I wanted to go over a quick and easy, how do you identify a good protein source? How do you identify a great protein source? And how can you see what is not a great protein source? Now, you probably heard me talk about peanut butter is not a great protein source, but why is that? So there's an easy kind of formula. So this is basically a protein to calorie ratio. And I don't want to get too confusing. It's really not that hard, but let's just take a classic example of a protein bar. It says protein bar, so it must be high in protein, but it's also high in calories because there are other macros in those protein bars. When you're looking at a protein bar, what you do is you look at the protein grams and you times that by 4. So most protein bars have about 20 grams of protein, which is great, right? That's great. But you times the protein grams by 4. Now, I will say most protein bars are anywhere from 180 to 200 calories. We take that 20 times 4, that's 80 calories. Only 80 calories are coming from protein. The rest are coming from either carbs or fats. And so I'm not saying not to have protein bars that can help you get 20 grams of protein, but I also hear a lot of times when I try to get in more protein, I go over my carbs or I go over my fats. And this is why, is having these products. So I would say it is an okay source of protein, but there are definitely better sources of protein. So we're looking at any of the lean meats, basically the lean meats and fish and things like that. So when you look at a boneless, skinless chicken breast, 4 ounces of that chicken is going to have about, it's usually 22 to 23 grams of protein. But let's just say, for math's sake, 25 grams of protein. All right. And so you take that 25 times 4, that's 100 calories coming from protein. And 4 ounces of a raw uncooked chicken breast has 120 calories. So that is like a really great protein to calorie ratio. So I don't want you to get too wrapped up in what the percentage is. Just know that this is an easy way to identify if this is a good source of protein. And then when you're looking at things like, say, look at peanut butter. When you look at peanut butter, it has 190 calories. There's only 7 grams of protein in peanut butter. So 7 times 4 is 28. So 28 calories are coming from protein, and then the rest is coming from predominantly fat. There is a little bit of carbs in peanut butter, but the rest is coming from fat. And so when you look at things like fattier meats like salmon, and I'm not saying not to have them, or ribs or things like that. Hey, I'm eating protein. Cheese, and cheese is a big one. You'll see that when you do the calculations, like, yes, the protein will actually be like a little bit lower. It could be like 18 grams of protein, especially when you look at 80-20 meat, ground beef. And then I think that ground beef has 240 calories and only 18 grams of protein, for math's sake. So like just about 80 grams, 80 calories are coming from protein. The rest is coming from from fat. And so this is just I'm not saying not to have these foods. Definitely sprinkle these in, but also let's incorporate some more of those lean items as well. Tuna is fantastic. 1 can of tuna has 29 grams of protein, and let's see, you take that times, we're going to take 30 times 4 is 120. And then the tuna, like 1 can of tuna actually has 120 calories. So again, super great source. So if you could sprinkle more of these higher protein items and then add in some of the fat items, that's going to help you hit your protein goals without always going over your calories. This isn't about me telling you what you should have and what you should not have. This is me about helping you hit your protein goals without constantly going over your calories. I will say, like, cheese and bacon are going to be like one of those things. Yeah, it has some protein, but predominantly those are fat sources. And so I call cheese and bacon friends with benefits, right? It has a blend of both. So predominantly most cheeses are going to be more of a fat source than a protein source, but it does have a pretty good hit. So like for me, I love a tuna bacon melt, and I use the center cut bacon. So 2 strips of that bacon is 5 grams of protein, which is great, but it also has 5 grams of fat, which is fine because that is the flavor that is going to make that, rather than just plain ass tuna, is going to make this delicious. It's going to make it something like that I actually want to eat, right? It just hits. Same with cheese. Cheese typically will have maybe 6 or 7 grams of protein, but then they'll typically clock in at around 9 grams of fat. So if you look like at cheddar cheese, I think it's 110 calories, 6 or 7 grams of protein, we'll say 7. So 7 times 4 is 28. Okay, where's the rest of the calories coming from? And so the rest of that is coming from fat. Typically, so 9, and I don't think I covered this, right? Fat grams is the amount of fat times 9. So 80 calories are coming from fat. And so you can see where this would add up pretty quickly. So hopefully this is helpful. I have, in this deficit that I'm in, I've definitely been prioritizing those leaner cuts. I'm having a little bit of fats here and there. I don't eat salmon anyways, but I'm not having like the fattier meats like pork chops, which I freaking love. I love shake and bake pork chops. I'm not having those things. I've definitely cut down on cheese, very much so. I will tell you, if you guys can find fat-free cheese, this has been like one of my staples. It has 45 calories and 9 grams of protein. Like, this has been absolutely hitting the mark for me, and I like the flavor. No, it's not as melty as regular cheese, but it still hits for me. I know that on Cape Cod at Market Basket, I used to be able to get the fat-free mozzarella, which I really enjoy, and then the fat-free cheddar, which I use for like my Mexican dishes and stuff like that. But I know some people just can't find that. And since I moved to St. George, I cannot find fat-free cheese anywhere in any of the big grocery stores. And guess what? I'm getting it at Walmart of all places. So if you can't find it in your store, it's craft. Like it should be like in a bag hanging there. If you can't find it, then maybe check your Walmart or maybe check online and see if they have that available. So I will tell you, this has been definitely a hack for me. I've been eating a lot of chicken thigh. I have not eaten any chicken breast at all in this whole deficit. For me, if I'm having chicken, I need sauce. I need cheese on it, like real cheese. So this, I just vowed to myself, like, hey, can we do this without having chicken? I love chicken thighs. They're just a lot easier for me to eat. Sometimes like the chicken, like I feel like it just gets stuck in my throat. So that's probably just a weird thing about me, but I'm like, I don't have to do it. So chicken thighs, if you get the boneless, skinless, they're pretty lean. So I do have some allowance for fat. So I love those. I did a chicken enchilada recipe over the weekend or I should say last week. And I'm like, oh, hell yeah. So one more week left here. And I already have my meals planned. And that's definitely going to be something that is going to be in my repertoire. Another thing that I have found is egg life wraps. I think like at the beginning when I did this deficit, like in week 2, there was no eggs, right? There was like no eggs, there was no egg whites, and all that was sitting there on the shelf were these egg life wraps. And I'm like, okay, what is this? And so I've been being creative with those. I was using those as like egg noodles with this like turkey stroganoff that I was doing, 99% fat-free turkey. So you can find that is super lean. That is another staple that I've been using. And so I just mix that with gravy. Like I really like that. I put a little bit of, so just the jarred gravy. I'm not making my own freaking gravy, guys. I will do, so this is my exact recipe. A package, which is 16 ounces of that 99% fat-free turkey with 3 servings of the gravy. That gravy only has 25 calories. And so this is going to make 2 servings. I'm going to eat 8 ounces of this turkey for 56 grams of protein. Yes, thank you very much. And what else? So, and then I was just taking those egg life wraps and then cutting them in strips and then putting them in there as like egg noodles. So like turkey stroganoff, and adding half a serving of non-fat Greek yogurt for that flavor. And which was fine, but I'm over that now. I actually have 6 things of gravy in my pantry that I'm like, oh wow. Because I was like stocking up on it. And I'm like, this is just sitting there. So this enchilada recipe, so you just do the same thing, cook up turkey, or you can cook up chicken thighs, whatever you want. And I'm taking like 2 of those egg white wraps, and then I'm putting in 4 ounces of meat into each one, and then just rolling it. And then I'm putting Trader Joe's enchilada sauce on there, which is another thing that is amazing. 1/4 cup of enchilada sauce, doesn't have to be Trader Joe's, is clocking in at about 30 calories. So very calorically spare, I should say, but like tons of flavor. And then 2 servings of that fat-free cheese. And sure, you could put that in the oven and bake it. I don't. I just stick it in the microwave. So that's me. I'm the lazy girl assembly cook. I think it comes down to having things that are already cooked and on hand. So hopefully this is helpful. I know that I have been slacking on podcasts, and I think I'm going to go back down to 1 episode a week. I can commit to that. I will go back to having those drop on Sundays. And then if I feel like I have something that I want to share with you, then I will put an additional one out on Thursday. I am traveling next week. I'm going to go ahead and pre-record an episode for next Sunday so that we have that. And I really enjoy this format, but it has just been a little busy and the summertime is here. So if there is anything that you want more information on, then please reach out to me on my socials, DM me on Instagram or on Facebook, wherever you are following me. If you are, also please subscribe and like the podcast. That would be amazing as well. And if this is some information that you feel somebody else would benefit for, then please share with them. I'd also love if you tagged me and put it up on your story as well. All right, my friends. So I will do an update of the photo shoot, but it's going to be in 2 weeks. Sunday, yeah, I'm getting ready. Right, this week I'm doing a water protocol. So I'm following Coach Megan's advice. She's helping me. So she sets up my workouts, which I freaking love. And then she's guiding me through this process very much like a bodybuilder would get ready for a show. So I'm doing a water protocol. So this today is 2 gallons of water, which is a lot. I'm already on my third Stanley. And then we will do a diuretic towards when we get towards the shoot. So right now it's very much a water load. And then when we get towards the shoot, then we will start getting rid of that water. And I will say I'm 2 pounds away from my goal weight, which I'm exactly on track. And this was my stretch goal. So I've really, I know it sounds obnoxious, but I freaking crushed this process and have been on track. I'm losing 2.2 pounds per week. And I was like, hey, I'll be comfortable if I get to 125. That would be amazing. I'm to be probably the leanest would be probably around 122. So I'm definitely on target to hit that. And if I don't, then I don't. I've already hit my projected goal. So that's it for me. I will talk to you next Sunday. Bye.